Channel people, welcome to United View and welcome to the Full View Extra. You lot got all scared last week thinking we got rid of the Full View as it is and was only going to be like this. Nobody said that. Well, actually, I did say that as a joke straight away. But immediately I was joking. I didn't realise you guys were going to take it so seriously. But welcome back to the channel. This is the bite-sized version. This is the extra version, the extra Full View. You know what I mean? Where we get some of the guys who aren't usually on the panel to come into UVHQ and mix it up and talk Man United. We saying Hayley first time on it?
First time. Glad
Ready
to
chop
be
it up?
here. Glad to chop it up, do all them things there.
That's right. And you, Paulo, as well? First time?
Yeah, first time. Glad to be.
I was saying before, actually, it's good for you guys to do it because usually you guys see the likes of Paulo and Hayley or DJ, etc., on the match views, only talking about the game. So actually, quite refreshing to have you lot here. Not so much
crazy opinion.
Yeah. You've seen the last few episodes, didn't it?
Yeah.
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 You've seen some of the, you know what I mean?
Where you going with that?
No, I'm joking. But today's episode is this. Who is Man United's best right back? Now, Paulo had the biggest smile just then as I was looking.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a Portuguese, Portuguese native.
Mm-hmm.
It is obviously between Diogo Dalot and Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
Some people may be at home saying Brandon Williams. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
It's an open forum.
We're better not mentioning today.
Actually,
He's
yeah.
doing
He's been doing a bit of a madness.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's leave him out of it. But we'll start with you.
Yeah.
Who's the number one?
I've had this conversation a lot in the past few weeks with a lot of people. I've been on podcasts and streams and I've had this conversation. I think right now it's definitely Wan-Bissaka on form. And I wouldn't say this a couple of months ago that I'd think Wan-Bissaka would come back and be this attacking fullback. And I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he's this type of fullback right now who's attacking. And we're not really seeing an attacking fullback in a 10-hag system, in my opinion. I do think he creates good overloads on the right-hand side, especially when he's making those runs down the right-hand side. And he's good at linking up. He likes to do this like 1-2 touch a lot of the time, and he makes a run down the right. And I think he's progressed in that sort of aspect of his game. But I still think that final ball, the crossing, some of his passing, you can see it's not natural in his game. I think it's a lot more natural in Diogo Dalot's game. But I think right now it's definitely Wan-Bissaka. However, if I'm going forward and I've seen both of these players this season at their best, I think Ten Hag would choose the low out of what we've seen in the beginning of the season.
He showed us his hand, didn't he, early on? Because up until the World Cup, that it was Dalot's fault.
He was.
It's we're sitting back thinking, bloody hell, Wan-Bissaka's done well to get back into the frame.
Yes.
I remember at the beginning of the Ten Hag season, this guy, his video was Wan-Bissaka is done. That was after game. Well, we lost the first two, so it might have been after Liverpool, maybe, or it was when we started winning. Because obviously, you wouldn't have said it after Brentford or Brighton. But I remember early on, Cam, you said Wan-Bissaka's done. He's finished, and I remember saying, "Why? Whoa, can't control it. He's done, mate. He's got two left feet. All of that." And now look.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that much has honestly changed. I think he's doing a lot of similar things to what he always has done. But I think his confidence is high and he's maybe a bit more successful with it now. I think Ten Hag's shown he believes in him. But defensively, I was looking at some stats for a video earlier. And in terms of his dual success rate, in terms of on the ground, he's unbelievable.
He's the best.
I think we know that. He's the best in the world in that particular aspect. But as Paulo said, it's the rest of his all-round game that's not quite on the same level as some other right-backs. And I think what Dalot's got that maybe Wan-Bissaka hasn't is that he's so much more well-rounded. He's physically fantastic, really good at long ball, sort of defending crosses, back post, that sort of stuff. He's, I'd say he's got a better passing range. He's probably better at final ball as well, I would say. And also I think he can go both ways a little bit better than Wan-Bissaka perhaps can, so he can underlap a little bit more and be effective. But you've got to give credit to Wan-Bissaka for the recovery he's made.
The fact that this is even a question.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'll say? I think it's more so Dalot letting Wan-Bissaka come back than Wan-Bissaka almost like progressing at this rate that we didn't expect. I think Wan-Bissaka has definitely progressed. I'm quite impressed with the way he's been able to link up with the right winger, whether it's Sancho or whoever's playing on the right. The way he creates that overload. He finds himself in good positions now, which we didn't really see last season at all. But that final ball's not really there. And I think Dalot, for some reason, just has fallen off a bit. But what I saw earlier on this season is what I want to see from Dalot. I mean, he was assisting, he was scoring, still not incredibly high in terms of assists and goals, but even yesterday internationally, now Roberto Martinez in the Portuguese national team playing a back three system. Dalot, again, a player who would suit that sort of wing back position. You see him find himself in that sort of, at times, in almost that striker position because he makes so much brilliant runs. But I think it's about finding his form, in my opinion.
Wan-Bissaka has come back into it. Is there a case that they've basically both gone with Dalot? Is there a case that it is Wan-Bissaka now? Because when we talk about the biggest games, when it came to Barcelona, we were like, oh, yeah, play him. When it came to Liverpool, obviously I know what happened, but we went, oh, yeah. You know, we wanted him back. And when he hasn't been there a little bit after the World Cup, it's like, not quite Wan-Bissaka back in there. Like, who is the number one right back?
I am taking Wan-Bissaka. See, with Ten Hag learns quickly. And I don't know if he was doing a test, trying to do, okay, these are big games. Let me see how you manage against Newcastle semi-final. And for me, Dalot kind of failed that test. It has to be cemented in Ten Hag's brain that it's Wan-Bissaka. When we're going up against big teams, big matches, I need to see Wan-Bissaka there because that assurance level that he gives me in that back four, when any attacker is coming up against him, there's no nerves. I'm calm, cool like a cucumber, and I need my defence to give me that. And Dalot doesn't really give me that. Dalot is great going forward, doing all the other nice things, but first and foremost, I need my defender to be able to defend. Yes, I know the game has moved forward and you have to have a bit more about you as a right back. I understand that, but right now, I need my defender to defend and be a wall. You're not getting past him. They don't call him Spider for no reason. You're not getting past him. So for me, it's Wan-Bissaka, and Wan-Bissaka was never on that shopping list. He should. If I understood why he was on there, but I believe there's a player in there.
Oh, so even when it was going a bit bad for him, you still thought
I believe. See how I believe about Martial and that as well. I believe that Wan-Bissaka still had a player in there, and I think if you're great going forward and you can work on your defence, surely he can work on his side going forward. He's never going to be a Trent going forward, but if he can work on his deliveries and give us that a little bit extra and look over your shoulders when you're in the box defending, it's Wan-Bissaka.
We've got like a 2-1 there. For me, I feel like and this doesn't really answer the question, but we're in a weird situation, a unique situation where ideally we need a right back that has that we can fuse together and do what we both do. The problem that we've got is that we have to cherry pick between certain games because attributes suit certain games better.
Yeah.
And you could call it, I've just called it a problem. Technically, you could call it a
blessing.
It's a blessing because you can go, actually, this game, let's say, well, we've seen them do it before. Bloody hell, we've got PSG, man. But Mbappe's going to be there. You know what? Wan-Bissaka, cool. Now we can focus on that. You ain't got to worry about that.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, you can go, I'll tell you what, we're going to have a lot of the ball today. You know, I want crossing into the box. I want overlap. I want a link-up play. I need it. I think, here's a question then. Whose side of their game, whose weakness is stronger than the others? So Dalot's lack of one-on-one duels, which is what Wan-Bissaka excels in, is he worse at that than Wan-Bissaka is at going forward?
You know what I think, honestly? I think neither of them are great in the final third. I think both of them can do a lot of work on their own product. I think we've said for a long time that Dalot's better than Wan-Bissaka.
Dalot's not finished. He's not like the pin. No. He's not like...
He's not getting enough. I think he's got better this season, definitely, especially at the start of the season. And I agree with what you said, Paulo, in terms of, I think the reason Wan-Bissaka's come back into it is because Dalot's nowhere near where he was earlier. But I think in terms of the end product, Dalot can do a lot more in terms of getting his...
I agree as well.
In his final ball, I think there's probably quite a lot of times as well where we could see a lot more, rather than just hitting a speculative cross from a wide area, actually drive to the byline and for a cutback. You see City doing that a lot.
Yeah,
we don't do that sort of thing. I think the difficulty is for me with the two at the moment is, I think if you look at the positions our right back often takes up, there's often a lot of underlapping going on where they've got to be good in tight spaces going forward. They've got to be able to link up with the players around them. I think Dalot's much better at playing sort of 360 all around him, whereas Wan-Bissaka's better when he's near the touchline. He's only really got to worry about half the job because there's a line behind him, isn't there? So I think that's the difficulty for me in terms of which one's better than the other. At the start of the season, I would have said, if you're going to sign another right back and we're only keeping one of the two we've got, I would have 100% said we keep Dalot. But the thing is, I think if we sign another right back, they'll probably be better at that than Dalot is at the things he's good at, but maybe a similar profile. And I think it's so useful to have a player in your squad that you can trust to lock up any player in world
I see what you're saying.
You
It's
know-
weird saying that.
You know, saying when France at the World Cup,
Mm.
Southgate had 100% belief in Walker to lock up Mbappe. And to be fair, for the most part,
Yeah,
he
he
did.
did,
He's done it before, and I think in the Champions League, he was
Yeah.
pretty much the only player to have done it. But having someone like that you can just rely on to do that is a really helpful thing when you get to big games. It really
Do you
is.
see that, Hayley? Like, I know you said you chose those reply, but actually, if you were to choose one to sell, this is you lot at home as well. If you were to choose one to sell, arguably you could get. You can't replace what Wan-Bissaka does, but
I
you
am
could get a
selling Dalot.
better version of Dalot.
I'm
Or
selling Dalot. And that's
Really?
not even a disrespectful.
yeah.
I'm selling him because there is not another right back out there that can do what Wan-Bissaka does. But I'm sure we can scout for another right back that can do the job that we need to do in terms of going forward. That has a little bit more all round. I think we could do that. But where's there another Wan-Bissaka?
Do you know the thing though? So let's say we signed, I don't know, who do you think's the best right back in the world?
I like Reece James and
Yeah.
Yeah.
James.
Okay, I feel like we're probably not going to get Reece James, but
No,
like,
no. Of course.
if we sign,
Profile.
yeah. Okay, so if we signed Reece James and we sold Dalot, and Reece James then got injured, would you want Wan-Bissaka then starting every game? Because then if
The
we
drop
do have,
off.
we do then have a lot of the ball. Great for one-off games, but if the main guy gets injured, you want someone that can step in and take the place seamlessly. So there is that as well.
So Paulo, is the question not then? Do we not need two fullbacks who can competently do both sides of the game rather than trying to say, well, this guy is really good for that, and this guy is really good for that? We just need the guy like a Reece James. But then again, I know Trent is a polarizing situation, but he does one side probably he's the best at that, and the other side goes wanting. But Reece James is probably a really good example because he's just well-rounded. We want like a Reece James type who could do everything.
I think that's what Ten Hag wants. I think it's so difficult to judge this situation because I know a lot of people say, oh no, it's a good thing. Wan-Bissaka is very good defensively, Dalot is very good going forward. That's a very general way to view things. But I think that what Ten Hag want would probably have two fullbacks like Reece James who are well-rounded. The problem is when you have someone like Wan-Bissaka who's so good in 1v1s, it's almost hard for you to just let him go like that, because if he wasn't at that level, you could say, you can sell him and we'll get another fullback. Do you know what I mean? But even like earlier on this season, it was so strange because Dalot, even in 1v1 situations, he was quite reliable against Liverpool, against West Ham. And then now you kind of see, I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's him not believing in himself in those situations. Yeah, it's really weird because some of his decision making.
We had the hamstring injury in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Came back for a game or two when I'd done that interview with him. Next game he was injured and he hasn't been. What
are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? Yeah.
Do you know what? That's just the timeline. You lot can choose. That's just the course of events that occur.
This is the question. Did you touch him in the interview?
Absolutely. I was flipping everything.
There you go.
Of course.
That's it.
Yeah.
I won't try and take it there, but that, if I'm being honest with myself, this the timeline of what's happened. I was at that game as well against Morocco, where they lost on penalties. Was it in
The World Cup games? Don't remind me of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
they
God.
They lost in normal time, didn't it?
1-0.
Yeah, and Missouri just had an empty header.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then Portugal just couldn't score anything. I think they won it 1-0 in the end.
1-0.
So anyway, that game, I remember near the latter stages of that when they were going for Hail Mary, Dalot just pulled up. And I was in the stand behind the guy, I went, oh, man, I don't like the look of that. But he did recover. I told me he did. He spoke in the interview. I said, how are you, bro? How do you feel?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I feel good.
The thing is, they're always going to say that, though. They're always going to say that.
Exactly true. Then he played against Charlton. He obviously got a reoccurring injury, and he hasn't been the same since. And you're right, I can't remember who said it, but like his confidence, he's not in that groove. Yeah. And then that to be fair to Wan-Bissaka, he saw the door open, saw the door ajar. He don't do much talking, that guy. He ain't on social media yet. He just keeps himself to himself. Everyone was kind of saying he ain't the guy, me included.
Yeah.
I've been one of the biggest. I mean, Bradford can't control the ball. I've been one of the biggest ones because I just couldn't see how he was going to, do you know what I mean, kick on or have a role in this squad at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I agree.
And actually, it shows how good Ten Hag is.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Right. When you give players, even if they're limited in certain areas, if you give players a structure and a set of rules and principles that he always talks about to follow, it's easy to do your job.
Yeah.
Whether you're De Gea in goal, right up to the top of the pitch if you're Rashford, it's easy to do your job. And I think he's been a beneficiary of actually when he didn't play up until the World Cup, he's training every day. He's looking. He's observing of this. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. To the point where when we got back out of the World Cup and Dalot was injured, he played in the first like 3 or 4 games. I think it was against like Burnley.
Yeah.
Was one of them. Can't remember who that was. And we were like, oh, Saka's done right. And he just kept going. Okay, so here's the question then. Do we keep both fullbacks as if it gets to the summer now? Do you just leave it where it is for now because we've got a lot to deal with, or would you try and do like what you were saying?
Do you know what? Unless a right back comes on the market that is so hard to refuse, I'd leave it because there's other positions in our squad that we need to address. I don't think that's high up on our list. But unless there's something so outstanding, you can't turn it down. Then I would.
And also we can't and not look at the fact that them two can still get better.
Absolutely.
Once you add someone else into midfield.
They're both 23, I think.
And Ten Hag's in his first year. So I think in football we always look for newbies, how we can do new, but actually they can still improve.
You know what it is with Wan-Bissaka that's surprised me a little bit is that the role he's playing now, if you'd said a year ago he'd be spending quite a lot of his time inverted sort of into a midfield role.
We want him anyway.
It's a lot more complicated than what he was doing before, but actually because there's a set of rules and principles, as you said, and a set of instructions that if this happens you go there, if that happens you go there. This is how you adjust your positioning depending on where the winger is. He knows exactly what he's doing, which actually makes it simpler for him in the long run. So before he was playing like a traditional right back, but he wouldn't have had that support and those that sort of foundation there that means that he can then start thinking about some of the other stuff. And obviously, if you've got a player that struggles with certain aspects of his game, obviously he's not the most natural of footballers compared to some of the others. You're going to need to take a bit of load off them mentally. Give them fewer decisions to make, a simple set of principles to follow. Make the rest of the game a lot easier for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's obviously, as you said, the structure's really helped. But in terms of the way you scout players and the way that scouts are sort of taught to look at things, at any level, what you're looking for is so let's say professional footballers in general, everyone's going to have a certain level in everything. They're going to hit a certain benchmark. What you want for them, an elite player, is some sort of X factor that you can't refuse, something that's incredible. And as Hayley said, if you're looking for someone that you can't refuse, they've got to have some sort of X factor.
Yeah.
Is Wan-Bissaka's defensive ability not already an example of that? Because that is something that nobody else has and sets him apart from everyone else. The question is just obviously whether he's at the same level for some of the other stuff. But that X factor is something that genuinely nobody else in world football has.
Because now, and I'll come to you next, Paulo, I think now I look at Wan-Bissaka and I'm like, that's probably what a squad player Man United right back looks like. Like if he don't get me wrong, he started games for us, so and we need him to. So that's great. But I think if in an ideal situation, like what we've been talking about, you have someone that's like a Reece James, I mean, if they get injured, you've got someone quite competent in Wan-Bissaka who could lock people off and do that. But then you could say Dalot could be that also because he's quite well-rounded, does a bit of everything, jack of all trades, quite steady, good physically. He could also be a backup right back. But basically what we're saying is both of them individually probably aren't, right now anyway, the top draw level.
Yeah.
But I think between them, they're managing to do a good job.
Yeah, I think what Ten Hag wants is he wants two players who are very similar in terms of their profile, and I think Wan-Bissaka and Dalot are not that.
They're literally opposite.
They're very opposite. So I think he wants two profiles who are very similar. However, it doesn't mean that Dalot and Wan-Bissaka can't. I would be very surprised if one of them don't leave eventually in the next couple of years, because I do think that it's a lot harder for Wan-Bissaka to level up his game going forward, because you can see it in terms technically he's not really there. Like players like that, he's not the most mobile, but his short passing is quite good. But then you see some of his crossing is not great, and even his vision at times. You can see a lot of the time when he's trying to do a good long ball, he's looking at the ground and then he doesn't. You can see it's not in his game. Whereas Dalot, we've seen this season 1v1s he was very good defensively. His positioning and his concentration was very good. So we've seen that part of his game very well. And I think that it will be a lot harder for Wan-Bissaka to develop that game. Whether Ten Hag wants to keep both of them, I doubt it. But I don't think it's a priority this summer.
I think Wan-Bissaka, because his skill set's a little bit more limited in the modern day game.
Yeah.
I think he would try to stay at Man United longer than that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
I think Wan-Bissaka's like, listen, I come from Palace, South London, and I know my limitations here. I want to stay at this level for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, and this is no disrespect to Wambi, because he's done wicked, but I feel like his trajectory after Man United might be downwards. Palace, do it Everton, or maybe go Newcastle. Well, Newcastle, maybe not there, but do you know what I mean? Though?
Yeah.
Like the mid-table Premier League, can play every week, that kind of level. Whereas Diogo Dalot, because of his type of skill set and the way he is on the ball fundamentally, and he's got gears to go up because he's naturally a better footballer, he would look at it and go, I can play this same level at least.
Yeah.
Champions League for team. I could go to Inter. I could go to, I don't know.
When the summer there were talks of Barcelona or something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, Xavi wanted me. Yeah, he could go play for Barca. Do you know what I mean? But then again, if we've got a player that we're saying can go and play for Barca, let's just keep patient with him and then get the best out of him, innit? Yeah, there you go. So to finish off, Hayley, you're saying Man United's number one right back as of now is Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
The reassurance, yeah.
The reassurance. I didn't answer the question.
Trying to avoid it.
As of now, it is Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, current form is Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah. His question is overall.
Overall.
I'd rather have. When they're both at their maximum potential, I think I'd.
And you're up against PSG and Mbappe.
See, why you got to add that?
No, because it's possible.
Cup final.
Yeah.
It's a Champions League final.
In a one-off game, against a great winger, you'd say Wan-Bissaka.
But over the course of a 38
game season, that's how you win the title.
Yeah. On a cup run, I'd fling in Wan-Bissaka for certain games. So technically, it's Dalot. But the most important, biggest, that's where you want your best player.
Do you know why it's so difficult though as well? You know why it's difficult? It's because Wan-Bissaka's here right now and Dalot's like here.
Yeah.
But like, we tend to, a lot of the times we tend to be forgetful.
Yeah.
But we can't be forgetful because prior to the World Cup, Dalot was top three fullbacks in the league.
Gets back to the level that we know he can do, it will make that.
Wouldn't be. If Dalot was on his top form and a Champions League final against PSG, I'm still putting Wan-Bissaka.
No, forget PSG. Real Madrid. Let's talk about the creme de la creme team.
Against Vinicius, I'm still putting Wan-Bissaka there.
I don't know.
I need him to lock. Where's their biggest...
But what about the other side? When we're playing against the likes of Real Madrid, we got to make every attack count. You're good on the ball. You can't be giving it away.
I hear that.
It's like,
Our attackers should be able to do the job for us going forward. It's not about our defence. Yes, if we play the total football way, we're not there yet. So right now, you ask the question right now. If I'm doing it right now,
okay. So to counter your right now thing, for the future of Manchester United, and the way that Eric Ten Hag, where he wants us to get.
And I'm keeping Wan-Bissaka as a backup option.
Okay, that's fair. So you're saying Dalot's just not your cup of tea. You'd rather.
No, I do. I like Dalot.
But if you have to choose.
I like it, but I like it. I do. I
Well,
like
you'd
that.
buy someone else to replace.
Yeah. I'd buy someone for the long term. I'd buy someone who's great doing the all round.
Yeah.
And then as a backup, I'm keeping my solid defender.
Because of that skill set.
Yeah.
Cam?
I'd probably say the same thing to Hayley, to be honest. Yeah, but I think you can find a better version of Dalot with a similar profile, or even let Dalot grow. Hopefully, he becomes one himself. But then, I think the X factor that Wan-Bissaka's got is impossible to replicate anywhere else.
I would say Dalot. Out of both of those levels that I've seen this season, I can see if Dalot returns to that level, like I've said, I think it's more of him inviting Wan-Bissaka back in. You can see it in the form, you can see it in his decision making. In my opinion, I would say Dalot.
Okay, there you have it, guys. Fascinating conversation. I said.
You did it. You was like, I don't know.
Why are you man? Dalot. Just overall, because I believe that when the team gets to exactly where it wants to be, how Eric Ten Hag wants it, I think Dalot would suit that version of Man United better. But as of now, recording,
Wan-Bissaka, yeah.
The challenge is yours, Diogo. You got to push, bro, and I'm sure you can. Smash a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and join us for our next episode of the Full View Extra as well. We've got so much to talk about. We're going to be talking about who should Man United's captain be next season. You don't want to miss it. Take care, guys. See you soon. Peace.